my hopeless romantic in you.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? What time is it? Can anybody tell me the time? Please. I'd love to know the time right about now. It's a very specific time that we're starting on, actually. We're starting on time. Let's go. They said it couldn't be done. They said it couldn't be done, Josh. We're starting on time. No way. I know. It's crazy. 2:30 a.m. for you? Let's fucking go. Amazing. How's it going, everybody? I'm wearing a hat today. That's weird. I'm not sure why I'm wearing a hat. Oh, also this hat, you see that? Boom. And it's also my wrist right there. Look at that. Boom. Anybody know where this hat's from, by the way? Anybody familiar? You're booking Dubai tomorrow? Yo, let's go. Porter Robinson. Yes, sir. Porter Robinson. Cool. All right, everybody. So we have quite the small family now, I'd say. I think I saw that in the chat. Someone called this like a pretty small family. I like that. I like that phrasing a lot. I think by week 5 of Nights and Weekends, everybody kind of just knows each other. It's like there's only like 1,000 of you left, essentially, or 1,000 to 2,000. And it's a fairly small group of people, which is pretty cool because I think by this point you start to see similar faces, see similar projects, and that's cool. That's why I was saying in the beginning, like, please don't waste your time networking because most of these people are going to give up anyways. So by this point, hey, I mean, it's a good time to make some friends if you want. And maybe some of you all are already, getting in calls with each other, hanging out, exchanging learnings, etc. So anyways, if you're not doing that, that's okay too. Also, we got a lot to go over today, as always, but today is more than usual, so let's get started. Okay, so lecture number 5, growing your work. Today's lecture, I want to talk about growth, basically. Growth is this topic that a lot of people discuss across various domains, from startups to book writing to art, etc. And I want to kind of create one definition of growth that we can follow for a while. Before I do that, though, I want to make a note here. If you want to follow people and keep track of what people are doing in Nights and Weekends, I highly recommend that you go to the OS and you click S4 People. And again, it's right here if you haven't seen it before. S4 People, and you can see them across LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. I recommend going here instead of like directly on Twitter or Instagram or other places because the algorithms of these websites are all over the place. But generally, if you want to see what people in S4 are up to, that's still the best way to do it, in my opinion. Just literally go there, click S4 People, and start scrolling. So just a note. Okay, cool. Let's talk about growth. Is there a way to see who's left? Yeah, there is a way to see who's left. You simply go here and then click this and see who's still talking. That's actually the best way to do it. You literally go there and see who's still talking. So 2 hours ago, Mylene, oh, she's still here. 16 hours ago, Haiji, she's still here. This fellow, 19 hours ago. So in my opinion, that's still the best way to kind of know who's left. So yeah. Okay, cool. So most people think that, let's talk about growth, right? So most people think that growth is this. It's getting big. It's going viral. It's getting a lot of subscribers or users, etc. You know, that's why this is what I think a lot of people think growth is. And this is actually what I thought growth was too for a while. In all honesty, though, all of that stuff that you see here, like all of the stuff, like getting money, subscribers, blah, 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 it's actually still just a side effect of you making something that is really good. In reality, if you make something really good, all the other stuff should just follow. And for a majority of you right now, I don't think that any of you need to focus right now on growth. You just need to focus on making whatever you're working on better, right? I actually think that focusing on growth or marketing is likely just all shit that does not matter right now. Like, I actually think that if you all focus right now on marketing or what you think is marketing, you'll just get really distracted and it's not going to go well. Why though, right? Like, why am I saying this? It's because you don't even know if you got something right now. marketing and growth only really makes true sense if you if you feel like you got something, that you want to market, that you want to grow. An example here is like, it kind of be like trying to market your restaurants when you barely know if your first dish tastes good. Like, you're trying to make a whole ass restaurant and market a restaurant, but in reality, you don't even know if your first dish tastes any good, right? And I want to show you a simple scenario that I see a lot. Let's say this is a scenario, right? Imagine yourself. A person launches the first version of their idea, their album, their first version of their app, their YouTube channel, their B2B SaaS products, whatever, right? They launch their idea. They're so excited. They're excited as fuck. And they manage to get 50 people interested, right? So upon launch, the first 50 people get interested. Of those, maybe 25 people will actually give their idea shots. Of those 50 people who said they're interested, let's say 25 of those people actually give it a real shot. And then maybe 3 of them stick around the next week, right? So they went from 3 to 50, or from 50 to 3. And then I want to show you the core problem here. The math just doesn't make sense. 3 of 50 stuck around after a week. That's 5%, right? 3 of 50 stuck around. The project itself just needs work. That's all that needs. That's all the problem is here. The problem isn't their marketing. The problem isn't their anything. It's like, no, like only 5% of people who enter stick around. Like that's actually the core problem. And I think what I see a lot is people will ignore this. They'll ignore this number, this 5% number. Instead, what they'll do is they'll keep marketing, or they'll keep trying to spread the word, or they'll keep trying to add like features or things that nobody asked for. You know what I mean? They'll keep sending cold DMs. They're actually hustle, right? They'll go on the streets to get people to listen to their song. They'll try to get their professors to read their work. Like they'll literally bust down doors to like get people to see their stuff, and they will hustle. And they'll work really hard to get new people. But same thing, only a small number end up sticking around, right? And eventually they'll end up feeling like, damn, my idea isn't that great. Or they'll go on to say, I didn't have money to advertise my idea, so it failed. I didn't market my idea enough. And honestly, these are almost always excuses that people come up with to make themselves feel better. So I'm not saying that all this stuff is bad, by the way. Like all of this stuff is actually really, really good, to be honest with you. The problem becomes when all you do is solo focus on this. I see that a lot. Like people solo focus on this, and they'll solo focus on just like adding stuff that nobody asked for. And that's the problem, right? And then of course, this is what I always hear this, like, my idea failed because I didn't market enough. My idea failed because like, I didn't have money to advertise. It's like, no, that's not. It's because you essentially failed because you tried to sell or get people to be part of something that wasn't even that great to begin with. And that's what happened. And in the beginning, almost all of your ideas are like still so early, right? They're not that great. That's fine though. In reality, in this scenario that I'm showing you, this person just failed to iterate. They didn't iterate properly. They just focused way too early on growth. They focused way too early on just trying to get a lot of people to give a shit, like a lot of people. And so my take today to tell you is, please do not focus on growth. Your goal right now isn't to grow, actually. It's to improve the quality of your work. And I want you to instead focus on growing your work. And this is the process by which you actually improve your work alongside a growing audience of people, right? There's a big difference, right? Growth is like pure, just like marketing, right? It's like getting something to blow up, right? But again, right now, you don't even know if you have something that can blow up or should blow up, right? The focus right now should just be, how can you just improve what you're working on every week alongside a growing audience of people? And this is really the key word here, right? Growing audience of people. I don't want you to just think, again, I'm sure you understand like the kind of energy at Build Space now, but I don't want you to sit by yourself improving your work, right? I want you to do it alongside an audience of people. And also, I know a lot of you don't want to get massive. Like I know this is a lot of you. I know some of you are on that startup path, you want to build a massive company, but I know some of you just want to build something really cool for maybe some people. And I guess all I want to say is, wouldn't it be cool if 100 people were like consistently listening to your song? Wouldn't it be cool if 100 people were consistently supporting your new bio research? Wouldn't it be cool if 100 people were consistently using your app each week, right? Like that would be pretty cool. Like press 1 if you're like, yeah, like that'd be pretty cool. I like that. That'd be fun. The thing is like, this is not about getting massive. 100 is not a massive number, but it isn't that small either, right? And so whenever you see me talking about growth or growing your work, I need you to remove this idea that I want you to get big or massive, because that's not what it is, right? In reality, I just really want you to find the first 100 people that actually like what you're doing in reality. So I want to take you through a scenario that I think many of you are in right now. I think a lot of you in the chat right now, this is the scenario I think you're in. Let's say that you bring in, on week 3 you launched and you got 25 new people to check out your project, right? I'm going to call these 25 people cohort 1, right? Cohort 1 is made up of all the people you hustle to get on your wait list, using your app, watching your film, whatever, right? It's the first group of people that cared about what you were doing, right? Real quick in the chat, how many people have you all gotten to care so far? Like how many people are in your cohort 1? I call it. Like they sign up on your wait list, they use your app, they did something, right? 6, 40, 4, 5, 17, 2, 117, 200. Not bad. 0? Let's get off 0. 1,000, 40, 16. Okay, great. So that's your cohort 1, right? You're excited. Everyone in chat right now, you're all so excited. You're like, yo, I got 50 people, I got 5 people, I got 2 people, whatever, right? You're excited as heck. And you're just really, you're pumped, right? But by the following week, something tricky happens. By the following week, only 1 to 2 people from cohort 1 stick around. Only if you bring in 100, maybe 5 stick around. If you bring in 20, maybe 1 sticks around. And I think a lot of you will see this and get really sad. And you'll see this as like a failure. You're like, oh my God, like I got 25 people and only 1 to 2 stuck around. And I want you to remove your emotions from this. I know that this is really hard, but I need you to remove your emotion. And I need you to instead analyze what the fuck is going on here. 2 of 25 equals 8%. That's not that bad. If 2 of 25 people stick around to something on the following week, that's 8%. That's actually not horrible. It's not amazing, but it's not horrible. So, okay, 8% of people stick around. In reality, this is fully expected to start with like 50 people and end with like 2 people after a few weeks. This is fully expected. And you have to be okay with this drop off. I think this is actually one of the hardest parts about this part of Nights and Weekends is that people get really fucking sad about the drop off. And honestly, this isn't a failure. This is just you starting. This is just how it goes. Like in the beginning, things are new. Things aren't that great. Like your project is early. Like it'd be a miracle if like 100 people came in and 100 people stuck around, but that's not what it is. This is just how you start. I want you to all take a moment, right? Think about all the things that you've tried once, or you got pitched, or you listened to, or you watched, or you never came back to. Think about all those things, because there's going to be, if you all think about the list of things right there, it's going to be a lot of fucking things. I've started a lot of animes and then never came back to the anime. I've started to use a lot of products and then never came back to the product. I've started listening to a lot of artists and then never listened to that artist next week. Like, you gotta understand, like, you're not special. It's the same thing. Like, you all already do the same thing. You already drop off from other people's creations, so you should fully expect that they're gonna drop off from yours. But then the question becomes, what do you do with cohort 1 then, right? What happens with cohort 1? That first group of people that you got caring. You should do everything you can to learn from cohort 1. Who stuck around? Why? Who didn't stick around? Why? Like, Those are the core questions you should be asking yourself. And then, like I said, you got to iterate based on their feedback. That's it. And that's all the stuff that we talked about last week. All of last week was about how to iterate with people's feedback. So I'm not going to go into that much more here today because we already talked about it a lot last week. But that's really it, my friends. Like, that's really it. You got to learn from them. That's all you got to do. Don't expect them to stick around and be massive super fans on your first try, because I promise you it's not going to happen. You got to iterate based on their feedback. And but then the question becomes this. Then what? So can you tell me what happens after cohort 1? After cohort 1, can you tell me? Anybody have a guess? Hey, we did it. You go and get cohort 2. Yup. You got to find cohort 2. It doesn't end. And I think it really does help to think about what you're working on in terms of cohorts, right? Because then you can really nicely kind of like separate all those groups of people, right? So for example, like if I'm making an anime, cohort 1 sees my storyboards. Cohort 2 sees some storyboard and maybe a soundtrack. Cohort 3 sees my storyboard, a soundtrack, maybe some of my animation. And then, it continues, right? So you got to find cohort 2. And then the question becomes this, like, but why? Farza, why would I spend even more time getting more people if everyone, or if a lot of people in cohort 1 dropped off? And I think this is like the super unintuitive kind of thing that I want to tell you all about today. Like when you read this slide, right? It makes sense, right? Like, what the fuck? If only 8% of people stuck around, why would I go and get more people for cohort 2, right? Or if some number of people stuck around, right? And this is the answer. It's because you need to find a new group of people to test your new iteration on, right? Because remember, last week, I asked you all to go and iterate on your idea, right? I asked you all to go and add something new to your idea based on that feedback. And in general, once you have that new iteration, you need a new group of people to test it on, right? Because again, cohort 1 isn't going to guide you all the way to the end. Like, you need a new group of people to potentially show your work. And this is why I'm saying you cannot just depend on that small group from cohort 1 that stuck around to guide you all the way to the end. This is like a really common mistake where people get their first cohort and then they only focus on their first cohort. Like, only, And I think that that's a mistake, because in reality, you want to find new people to test that new iteration on. Because very quickly, you'll learn everything you can from cohort 1, But then why do we want new people? Because they'll bring us new opinions, new feedback, etc., right? And over time, each cycle, your thing is going to improve. This is what I call the process. You know how people say trust the process? This slide actually is the exact definition of the process. The process is like, you make new stuff, you show new people, and you trust that every single time you run the cycle, your thing will improve. All right? And you trust that you'll constantly be testing new iterations with new cohorts of people. And then, can anyone tell me by cohort 10 what's going to happen? Let's just say you do this 10 times, because right now, most of you have only done it maybe 1 or 2 times, right? By cohort 10, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? IPO, yes. Yeah, you're going to IPO after 10 cohorts, for sure. Explosion, retention, okay? We take over the world. Okay, I think a lot of you are reaching pretty high. In reality, by cohort 10, you'll have developed a small base of superfans. I see people throwing around percentages. No, like this is actually what's going to happen after 10 cohorts. You'll have developed a small base of superfans. That's all that's guaranteed, right? Like, if you just do the math really quick, right? And let's just say every cohort, you get 50 new people and 1 person ends up staying around, right? That's 1 new fan. And you do it 10 times. By the end of 10 cohorts, you end up with 10, we'll call them superfans, right? So that's kind of how I want you all to think about it. Like by cohort 10, you're going to end up having a small group of fans. By cohort 10, you are not going to reach the point where your thing is amazing. You're probably not going to reach profitability. You're probably not going to reach the point where you're blowing up even. But you will have reached the point where you get those first 100 people to kind of, those first 100 kind of super fans, I think. And again, who are those super fans? It's the people who love your script, the people who love your app, the people who love your B2B SaaS, the people who love your YouTube channel, you know? And I think that that's why you want to keep on running these cohorts. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense? Because I think that this cohort terminology is something new I want to bring in this season, because last season, I think I didn't talk about this and it may have led some people astray. But my hope is this season that you all understand that you're dealing with very different cohorts of people every time, and different cohorts of people see different iterations of what you're working on, you know? I don't think this advice applies to things like music. Okay, we'll show you an example later. In my opinion, this works for literally everything. I have not seen a single thing this does not work on. Like, you want to show people what you worked on. You want to make something and then show people. You want to make something and then show people. You want to make something and then show people. And over time, you develop that group of super fans. So, cool. So I want to call this next group of people you're finding cohort 2, right? And this is where it gets really, really hard, right? This is where it gets really, really hard. You got to find new people to cohort 2, and you got to find new people for cohort 2 somehow. And this is literally where it gets very difficult. And I think this is where a lot of you will actually struggle. You all will struggle a lot to find cohort 2, because perhaps you already felt like you blew all your chips to get cohort 1. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of you may end up feeling like this right now. And I think it's pretty simple what you got to do next. You just got to keep running the loop, right? Create, launch, measure, learn. And within that loop, you know, launch, you have to create something and then show the world, right? Like, marketing is literally built into this, you know? Like, there's no need to focus on marketing. Just go focus instead on launching, right? And so far, most of you all have been launching on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, etc., right? And I think these are great channels for you all to like build a following plus keep launching. But I think that you're going to want to find new channels that are more specific to you. You know, I think Twitter, I write here that Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. is like kind of it's kind of like screaming in the middle of a busy street. That's actually completely true. Like, if you think about it, I think everyone in this chat right now is currently posting on like the Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. Right? But again, like, you have to imagine, like, I'm sure you all have gone to a place where like there's someone on the street screaming, trying to sell you something, or there's someone on the street that's like dancing, you know, like, and you guys ever been to Times Square in New York? You walk through Times Square and all you see is a bunch of people doing random shit. You got fucking Mickey Mouse over here taking pictures with you. You got some dudes over here dancing, doing like breakdancing. You got some dudes over here like, I don't even know, like trying to sell you a hot dog, and everybody's screaming. Everybody's like, hey, use it, check, look at this. And I think that's the equivalent of like Twitter and LinkedIn. And I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. It's actually kind of a good strategy in the beginning. Just, does anybody care? Like, how loud can you scream? But again, you want to end up finding more channels that are more specific to you. And you want to increase your chances of people caring, right? Because you only have so much energy to spend per week on this. And all the energy that you spend, you want to spend it properly such that you have a really high chance of people caring about what you're doing. And I'm going to call these things channels. You want to go to channels where your potential people are hanging out. So this is like a new word I'm using, right? A channel is essentially a place where your potential people are hanging out. And I'm going to go through a couple of examples here now too. But I hope that makes sense. I want to be very clear. I love that you all are doing stuff on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, right? I love that. And I want you to remember, like, I do think those are really good channels and you should keep on doing it, right? But I do want to tell you that there are smarter ways to go about certain things. And I'm going to go through some examples. The first example is Zip School. So this is Zip School, right? This is one of the past thing that I used to work on, zipschool.com. By the way, if you all want to sign up, it still works. It's still up. But Zip School was essentially like it was many things, but what's the best way to describe it? It was like Netflix for kids. We just had a bunch of content, like learning content for children, like Netflix style. They could just watch the recordings essentially. And we had teachers who made the content. And I think the core question is, where are parents with kids K through 5 hanging out? So that was the question, right? So again, at the time, I didn't know. I had to really like explore a bunch of things, but that was the core question. So when you look at Zip School, this is what you should be asking yourself if you're working on it. Where are parents with kids K through 5 hanging out? And I think the first thing that I thought was, well, they're probably hanging out at home. Like at the time, I saw like parents taking their kids to school, and I was like, I'm just going to go and put cards in their mailbox, right? So that's the first thing I did. That was one channel, mailboxes. Another channel I found, mother support groups. I found so many mom support groups on Facebook, and I joined all of them. And I posted about Zip School. Another channel that I found, PTA email lists. For those of you who don't know what a PTA is, PTA is it stands for, what was it called? Parent Teacher Association. So every school has a PTA group, and those PTA groups have big email lists of parents. So I would literally become friends with the PTA administrators and then have them blast Zip School to their entire email list. And I think these are like the non-intuitive channels, right? At the end of the day, if I'm just posting about Zip School on Twitter and LinkedIn, honestly, it's probably not going to go anywhere. You have to start getting smarter every single week about where you're talking about your stuff. And these are just 3 examples: PTA email lists, mom support groups, and cards in people's mailboxes, right? These are the 3 things that I tried over like 2 weeks, really early on, and it worked out really well. How do you post on these places without getting banned? Very carefully. This is like the biggest thing that people fuck up on. You gotta understand that nobody likes being advertised to. Like, if you go to a mom support group and you're like, hey, everybody, like, use my product, they're just gonna ban the shit out of you. Instead, what I like to do is I like to just like be a part of the community. I like to build myself as part of the community and be helpful in the beginning, you know? So in the beginning, you know, I don't just walk up to the PTA group and say, yo, spam me to your email list, please. No, I would literally start by saying, hey, my name is Farza. I see that you're part of this PTA. I'd love to kind of understand your problems and see if I can help. That's very different than saying, hey, can I post my app on your email list? Can I post my app on your subreddit? You know, like, nobody wants that. It's a nuance, but it's a nuance that I hope that you get good at. I want to talk about the build space example as well. Let's talk about the build space example. So the build space example. This is actually how build space first launched. It was July 27th, 2021. And we got, you know, build space, project-based courses for developers that don't suck. There was even a typo in the launch tweet, of course, in classic build space style. And you know, the post did pretty good, almost 749 likes. I was pretty excited. And then we had a lot of people join our Discord. We actually had 500 people join our Discord. And can you all tell me how many people were still around 2 weeks from now? 2 weeks from then? Can you just give me like a guess? You may have already seen the spoiler there, but how many people stuck around after 2 weeks? I know, build space. 8%, 25, 10. So actually not that many stuck around. After 2 weeks, we had 25 people who were still around. These were people who were still pretty active, like going through the tutorials and the content that we were creating. So 25 of 500, that's 5%. Honestly, that's kind of depressing. That's kind of low. It's like, where the fuck did all the other people go, you know? But for us, we knew that even if 25 people stuck around, that was pretty cool. Like, our goal wasn't to like blow up, right? Our goal wasn't to get all 500 to stick around. Our goal was like, if any number of people stick around, like if even 5 people stick around, let's learn from them and let's figure out where to go next. All right. So 5%, not bad. That means if I add, 5,000 people in, then I end up with, what is that? 5% of 5,000, guys, please help me out. Oh God. Okay, someone answer in the chat. But anyways, that would be cool. So we essentially continue trying to like market this out to other, rather than market it, but we try to like find new channels of growth. 250, thank you. So, that was our logic, right? Our logic was, okay, if we added in 500 people and 25 stuck around, that means if we add in 5,000 people, then 250 will stick around. And I don't know, that was what we were excited about, right? So that's what we started going towards. The numbers aren't that great, but we kind of trusted the process, right? So what did we do next? We found a new channel. So at the time, I was kind of scouring random colleges, and a lot of the early group of people who joined Buildspace were college students. So what we started going through was a CS department Discord servers, and these are computer science Discord servers for specific universities. Does that make sense? So it's like, these were where students who needed help on their computer science stuff were hanging out, right? These were their groups. And we essentially find like 50 of these Discord groups, and we literally make a landing page for every single one of the universities, like without even asking them. Like, we didn't ask NYU, we didn't ask FIU, we didn't ask Illinois. We literally just said, hey, Buildspace is now partnered with your university. And then we would go to the mods of these Discord servers, and then we would say to the mods, hey, we would love for you to like use this landing page, or we would love for you to broadcast this landing page to your students. Buildspace is a place where your students can work on their side projects and potentially get cool internships. Like, that was the whole pitch. And at the end of the day, we knew that we would lose 95% of these people, but we knew that if even 50% of them stuck around, that we were onto something. So again, that's what hurts here, right? That's the internal pain you have to take, that you're going to put in a lot of work to get a lot of people, and only very few of them will stick around. But you trust the process, and you trust that every time you do that, it's going to get better and better and better and better. Yeah, I know it hurts. It hurts to hustle to get people you're going to lose, but that's the game, right? That's the game we're playing. And again, right now, I would optimize for learning and improvement versus just going big. That's the best way for me to kind of frame this for you. So reframe, like, don't see it as, oh, I'm losing 95% of people. See it instead as, like, reframe that thought into a more positive thought, into, hey, I lost 95% of people, and this is why I think they left. But those 5% of people, this is why I think they stayed. And all of a sudden, now you're thinking positively, instead of negatively. And what's funny is these college CS Discords ended up getting us our first 2,500 people at Buildspace. Like, I think that is actually crazy how we went from just like this shit to our first 2,500 people to now you all sitting in this live stream, like, that's what I think is pretty crazy. And for us, we tried many channels, to be honest, but in the early days, for us, college Discord stuff was always really good. I want to go through a couple examples as well of some people that I'm seeing in nights and weekends right now, and also in our school. My first example I want to go over is Dylan. So Dylan is an SF1. SF1 is, as you all know, the first batch of our physical school, and this was his launch tweet. Introducing Lorrai, creating marketing assets 10 times faster. Train AI models with your brand assets to generate unique content in seconds. So again, he makes this and he charges $10 a month for it, I believe. And he gets no sales. Like he gets 212 likes, 40,000 views, and he gets absolutely no sales, right? So what does Dylan do next? Dylan does a lot. He does all of these random things. He keeps tweeting. He starts cold DMing people on LinkedIn, like social media managers. He starts cold emailing people. He posts on Product Hunt. He starts cold emailing people on Fiverr. Like, I didn't even know you could cold email people on Fiverr, but he did. He does all these things, right? But what ends up working is Reddit. So he finds, like, in his first week or two, that Reddit works really well. And he starts essentially posting on random tech subreddits, and he gets this is actually where he gets his first sales. But like, I kind of make it clear, like, he first did Twitter, then he did all like 69 different things, and then he did Reddit, and then he got his first sale. Like, you have to go through so many people and so many channels to figure shit out. And I think what's funny is, like, his channel ended up being tech subreddits, right, that he figured out. And I think that just goes to show you just need to try a lot of things. Also, what's cool about Dylan is he's literally done S1, S2, S3, like, he's done every season of Nights and Weekends. So it's literally, I guess all I'm trying to get across is, like, this is a skill. It is a skill that you get better at over a long period of time. It's not a skill that you'll get better at in 6 weeks. Well, I think you'll get better at it in 6 weeks, but you won't be amazing at it. So I don't know, just something to think about, because I think a lot of you'll post on Reddit, get banned, and then you'll start, like, crying and saying, like, you don't know how to do it, or, you know what I mean? Like, and I just don't want you all to say, I want you all to remember that, like, it's a long process. It does not happen overnight. Exactly. Another example, Kat, who I think is in the chat as well. I loved what Kat did. Let me just show you all. So Kat started by posting, or rather, she posted her song on Instagram, and here Kat is, right? Post her song on Instagram. But then Kat did something really interesting. She posted her song on Twitter. You know, honestly, I didn't think that this would work. I remember I first saw this post and I was like, I don't think anybody's going to listen to her song on Twitter. But I was wrong. She ends up getting 12,000 views and like 163 comments. Pretty crazy, right? Ends up being a pretty cool channel. But then she continues kind of trying to find new channels, right? This is her where she goes on the streets and has people listen to her songs, right? And she posts this on Instagram. And then she posts that on Twitter as well. And it ends up doing pretty well. And, you know, her channel, in my eyes, is just shorts. Like, she is posting these little shorts of her songs, little shorts of her on the streets, getting people to listen to her songs. And that seems like it's working, right? And I think what can improve now for Kat is just like picking specific platforms to kind of post on, right? Because shorts, you know, every single platform is like its own little game. So maybe you just focus on shorts on Instagram. That's totally fine. But again, I'm trying to show you all that, like, even this person in Nights and Weekends tried a lot of things, right? And you got to try a lot of things for the stuff to work. So yeah, cool. And I want to have you all practice a little bit with me now. Ready? So I want you to think outside of Twitter and LinkedIn right now. Okay. Let's start here. This is Max. Max, he's working on something where you can get quick insights about any Shopify store, including sales data. And now he's launching a web UI. Shoot me a DM if you want to try. Okay, so Max got 10 likes and 500 views. So his tweet didn't do that hot, but it's okay. What do you all think Max can do next? Can anyone tell me? What channel should Max explore next? Shopify developer Discords. That's a really good idea. I like that, Nate. Shopify haul YouTube channels. I like that. Etsy? What do you mean Etsy? Mom and pop shop? I'm not sure what that means. Like, what do you mean mom and pop shop? DM small YouTubers doing Shopify courses. Yo, that's a really good idea, ALS Journey. Instagram ads. Well, not everybody has money for ads right now. LinkedIn Shopify groups. That's a good one. Local businesses in person. Local businesses in person may not be the best one because it sounds like this is for a Shopify store, right? But hey, maybe. Pinterest? Where on Pinterest? Like, when you think of a channel, like, Pinterest is a platform, right? Reddit is a platform. Like, for a channel, you want to get very specific, like where, you know, like, so I love what Nate said, Shopify developer Discord groups. Like, the answer is not Discord. The answer is like a very specific part. TikTok. Yeah, that's not a real answer. It's like where on TikTok, like what on TikTok. Cool. I like a lot of your answers. So I'm gonna give you a couple that I thought were cool. So my question here for Max is simply, what are potential channels for his cohort 2? Right? That's all we're looking for now. That's all any of you should be thinking about right now. You got cohort 1. I'm actually excited. I'm very happy for you, but now it's almost a week or two later. It's time for all of you to find cohort 2. So how can Max find cohort 2 if his tweets aren't doing that hot? So let's explore. And I think the number one question is, where are Shopify sellers hanging out? That's the number one question. Hey, I mean, the first one's pretty easy. The dumbest one possible. Can you find 50 small stores on Shopify and then message them? That's it. Just find 50 small stores on Shopify and message the owners. Like, you can just Google them. Like, you can just use Google in a really smart way where you just literally search by Shopify store and then click them and then go to contact us and you'll find their email. Just do that 50 times. That takes you maybe an hour, right? That's one example, right? Let's do another one. Like Shopify seller Facebook groups. There are so many Shopify seller Facebook groups that I just searched. Like before this lecture, I literally just searched that on Facebook and I just saw hundreds, right? So go join 10 of them. See what they're talking about. Try it out. Another one, Shopify itself. Shopify itself has forums. Like, you can just go to those forums and post. I even Googled Shopify communities and I got a list of 10 Shopify communities that are available right now for free. So again, you can literally Google, like, I literally just Googled, where are Shopify sellers? And I had this blog post pop up. So again, what'd be bad is if Max saw that nobody cared and then he gives up. That would be sad. But I want Max to know, if he's watching this, that this is all kind of part of the process and you have to start finding new channels that are more specific to you. And, you know, these are just 3 examples that I gave. And I also love the examples a lot of you put in the chat. So let's do another one. I'm building Eva Journal, the only journal that writes for you. Eva is a friendly AI that calls you once a night and automatically keeps track of the things that you care about. Okay, cool. What are potential channels for Dylan's second cohort? Can anybody tell me? I want to find some new potential channels for Dylan's cohort, because honestly, he didn't do that good on Twitter. He didn't do that hot. You know, he did okay, but he didn't do that hot. Where can Dylan find his second cohort? Because it sounds like a really cool idea. It sounds like a little thing that literally calls you, and then when you talk to it and it journals for you. R/productivity. I like that, Angelina. College wellness groups. What do you mean there? That's kind of cool. Yoga classes? Why yoga classes? Oh, because this one's a little bit harder. I'm seeing answers that aren't as good now. Mental health subreddits. That's actually kind of cool. Mental health subreddits. That's pretty cool. So can anybody tell me why this is so hard? Like, why are we struggling to come up with good channels for Dylan right now? Can anybody tell me? Why are we struggling to come up with good channels for Dylan? It's not relevant, not super specific, new markets, blah, blah, blah. We don't get it. What does it do? It's not niche enough. Okay, cool. I think it's pretty obvious. Like, this is too difficult of a question. For example, right now, the question Dylan is asking is, where are people that journal hanging out? Yo, the people are everywhere, you know? Like, this example was hyper clear, right? For Max, the question was, where are Shopify sellers hanging out, right? It's a pretty clear question, but this one's really hard. This one's like, where are people that journal? Where are they hanging out? But the problem is, everybody kind of journals in small ways, right? Like, everybody kind of journals in a very small way. Like, my mom doesn't journal every day, but she journals like once a month, right? Like, everybody kind of journals in a small way. So it's tough. It's so tough. So Dylan, I would make your job a little bit easier. Instead, can we look for a specific type of person that journals? You know? So I think I liked a couple of recommendations in the chat, like mental wellness groups. Like, that's interesting. Like, if people are struggling with like some problem, can they talk to an AI every night and journal like that? I came up with a different idea, but again, there's many different ideas. Founders, I'm a founder, right? Founders generally journal a solid amount, or at least my friends journal a lot. So my friends are always journaling a lot, like almost once a week, every day. And they're talking about learnings at their company, learnings from the week, current analytics. They're always, like writing and journaling, right? Because they want to make their company better. So the question then changes to, where are founders hanging out? And that's a much easier question. Go ahead and search founder on Twitter, DM 10 of them. Go to the indie hacker forums, and think of the non-obvious ones as well. Like, what if you just go to find fans of the How I Built This podcast, like these are all places where you can find founders. But again, notice how much easier I made the problem. We went from, where are people that journal hanging out, that journal, where are they hanging out? And all the way down to, where are founders hanging out? And this is a much easier question, right? So hope that made sense. Like, sometimes if the question is too hard of where your people are hanging out, it makes your job too difficult, right? So again, Dylan has an amazing product. I love it. We've seen Dylan many times now on the internet, working on this stuff, and I really, really like his product. But his problem is just, he's making his job a little bit too hard on himself. So I'm curious for you all now. What's your question? For example, if you had to phrase your question in audience, how would you do that? Like, let's say, your people are like filmmakers. Then your question becomes, where are people that make films? Where are they hanging out? Right? Or let's say you're making an app for developers. Then the question becomes, where are developers hanging out? So I guess, what's your question, chat? If you had to write it for me in the chat really quick. Where are aspiring medical students hanging out? That's a really good question to answer. Where are students interested in learning hanging out? Where are curious people hanging out? That's a little too wide. I'd go a little smaller. Where are people that read memoirs hanging out? Love that. Where do people who push esports forward hang out? That's a good one. I got some people if you're interested, by the way. Kez, I said your name right. Where are designers hanging out? Where are influencers hanging out? Where are Muslims hanging out? Oh, I think this person's working on the Masjid app. Nice. Where are job seekers hanging out? Okay, great. Like, this is all great. This is kind of the question that you all need to answer for yourself. Like, because at the end of the day, remember, like, if you're posting your stuff on Twitter, LinkedIn, it's not working. Like, that's fine. Where can you find channels where your people are specifically hanging out? And I hope that you all, this question makes your life a little bit easier. So amazing. And I think right now, there is no need to think past cohort 2. I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, that channel will eventually run out of people, like, oh, or that channel will eventually stop working. And therefore, I don't want to spend time on that channel. Like, that channel doesn't scale, right? But at the end of the day, like, you can argue that, let's go back here, that Kat here posting shorts about her songs doesn't scale. You can argue that, but who cares? Like, just try it out. Because like, all you need to think about right now is not cohort 10. You need to think about, all you need to think about right now is cohort 2. Like, don't think about cohort 3, don't think about cohort 5, don't think about cohort 7, 10, 69, whatever. Think only about cohort 2. All you need to do right now is fill up cohort 2. And cohort 2 is the new group of people that you get that are interested in what you are doing and that test out your new iteration. In reality, to do this, you have to figure out you got to just try a lot of things. Go back to that example with Dylan, right? I'm gonna go all the way back here. Sorry. This example with Dylan, look at all the things he tried that just didn't work. He tried cold DMs, he tried product hunt, he tried Twitter, he tried all these things, just didn't work, right? So in reality, you just need to try a lot of things and you got to try them really fast. And my number one advice is please don't just sit on Twitter crying that no one is seeing your stuff, crying that the algorithm sucks, or just complaining. Because I promise you, this will get you nowhere. In reality, you have to actually just try a lot of new things and trust the process. That's all I can kind of tell you. There are an endless number of channels, and I think it's important to remember there are an endless number of channels for your project. There's almost an infinite number of channels for your project. And your job right now is just to find the couple of channels that help you fill up cohort 2. That is your job. Your job is not to go viral or get 1,000, 2,000, 69 million people. Your job is just to find a couple of channels that can get you cohort 2. That's it. I want to make your life really easy. And again, you all already created this question for yourself. Where are people who check out projects similar to mine usually hanging out? That's it. How big should cohort 2 be? My recommendation is to make your second cohort like the same size as your first cohort or bigger. That'd be my recommendation. So for example, if your first cohort was 25 people, try to get 30 people for cohort 2, you know? This week I published on Reddit and I got a lot of new signups. Before that, I was not getting any. Oh shit, let's go. Congrats, bro. Where'd you post? So again, this week, what do I want you to do now? What's the kind of assignment almost? This week, I want you to explore 2 to 3 new channels and try to get people caring and find cohort 2. For some of you all, I think that what you did to get cohort 1 will help you find cohort 2, you know? Like, but I think that's a very specific scenario. In reality, I think for a lot of you, you have to try new things. Like just Twitter won't work, just Instagram won't work. But if it is working for you, that's amazing. Keep doing it. And if it's not working for you, still keep trying, but explore new things. In my experience, the best builders take time to figure out what they're doing first and then turn their attention to, classic growth. I know we have all types of builders in the chat. We have like musicians, developers, startup founders. I'm a startup founder, right? That's like my domain. I'm a startup founder. And in the world of startups, if you find founders that just focus on growth and they don't focus on actually making something good, they all flop. They all just fail. So that same analogy works for all of you. Like if all you do is do nothing but try to make it look shiny and nice, I promise you'll get nowhere. Like you have to do both. You have to focus on getting new people involved, and you got to focus on making the thing better. And yeah, this is the difference between growing your work versus growth. And that is the core thing that I really want you all to just understand from today's lecture. Growing your work versus growth. Growing your work is all about iteration and improvement. Growth is more just about like making the number get huge. And there's a very big difference. And I don't want you all to focus on growth right now because that's not what it is. Ideally, every 1 to 2 weeks, you all find a new cohort, right? So, you can find it. So, for example, in the early days of BuildSpace, we would find a new cohort every single week. So every single week, we would find a new group of people to test BuildSpace on, and a new group of people to like test our iteration on. So it's up to you all, but ideally every 1 to 2 weeks, you all find a new cohort. And that's it. You learn from that cohort and you learn from people that stuck around from past cohorts. What you'll find is as you run this process, you'll start to develop people who really are fans of you, right? You'll start to develop people who stick around, and you'll just learn a lot from them. And all to say, continuously do this and you will iteratively arrive at greatness. That's it. Continuously do this and you will iteratively arrive at greatness. If you were, I like to put one slide on every lecture where you can screenshot it and remember it. So please just remember this one. Because I think so many times I made the mistake of like trying to build greatness and then being really sad when nobody cared. But then it was my fault for like for assuming that people would care. So yeah, don't do what I did and be sad for like 2 years. Continuously just like run the process and get really good at the process. That's it. I know I've said that many times. I know people say that a lot, but it is true. It is true. This game is a grind. The game you all are playing right now is a grind. And but it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. And yeah. Cool. So on Thursday's lab, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to specifically write launches for certain platforms. So I'm probably going to go over Reddit. I'm probably going to go over Facebook groups / like LinkedIn groups and anything else I should cover. But anyways, I'm going to cover like a bunch of channels and show you how to actually write these posts. Because I think a lot of you mess up on actually writing the posts. So we'll do Reddit for sure. Product hunt? I can do product hunt. TikTok, I can do TikTok, but to be honest, like, just scroll TikTok. Just scroll TikTok. That's like the best example of TikTok. Just look at the current viral TikToks. But I can go over TikTok as well a little bit, sure. I can go over the basics of TikTok. I can't go over TikTok like I'll give you like the 10-minute rundown of TikTok for sure. Emails, okay, I can do cold emails, yeah. Cool, so TikTok, LinkedIn, Reddit, cold emails, anything else? Product hunts, we'll do those. And maybe we'll do a couple more. Okay, cool. Some closing notes. IRL, everyone, we are very quickly about to close both these events from registration. I think most of you already signed up if you're here right now, but yeah. And also, I think today is the last day to apply for a sponsorship. So if you have not applied, please apply. Things to RSVP for. All right, everybody, we have a lot for you to RSVP for, so please follow along with me here. We're almost done. So if you go up here, oh shit, what the fuck? What is going on? Oh god, how do I get out of here? Okay, cool, that was almost a disaster. Okay, cool. At the top left here on the OS, you'll see all the upcoming things to sign up for. We have the lab. And then, so first of all, we only have 3 more lectures and labs. So that's sad face. But after that, we have these 3 events, right? On September 14th, we have Demo Day Prep, right? That's where I'm going to tell you what Demo Day is, how it works, and how to prepare for it. Because as of right now, I haven't told you anything. On September 16th is Demo Day itself. So please, please, please keep this time slot available, right? Saturday, September 16th, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. PT. And then lastly, we got Final 32. Final 32 is going to be a 2-hour live show. And yeah, it's going to be fun. But those are the final events of S4. So that's kind of sad, actually. 6 more events. And then IRL, I guess. So it should be fun. That's that. Weekly update number 5 will be the same as weekly update number 4 in terms of structure. So don't expect anything that new in terms of the update. So again, update number 5 is going to be the same as update number 4. So that's all you got to know there. It's going to be pretty straightforward. And weekly update number 5 is going to be due next Monday at 11:59 p.m. PT. That's it, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you Thursday. If you didn't get in update number 4, please get it in if you didn't already. Because as always, better to submit late than never. And look at that. The movie's also done in the back. That's poetic. That's what you get for... Oh my God, do we start on time and end on time? Everybody, what time is it right now for you? It's 12:30 for me. Not only did we start on time, we ended on time. Josh, shout out to you, bro. Come here. Shout out to Josh. We've done it, Josh. We've done it.
Oh my God.
That was a close one. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Take the critics and your fear. There's no easy way to hear. And all the memories you love to bring. With all the things that you hate to scream. So tell me, times we never learn. First place in life we have to earn.